Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, those of you still on the fence, welcome back to another episode of Derailed, courtesy of Archaic Skids. I have a exceptional guest, a man that has always been there in the libertarian movement. He's constantly retweeting uh, and just overwhelmingly supporting the libertarian movement. And I found out earlier today that he has never been actually asked to be on the podcast. And I found that to be a little shitty. So I hope you all welcome this man with the same fervorance and expectation that I do. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Miller. What's up, my buddy?
How's it going, man?
Man, I'm so excited to have you on. It was actually shocking to me to find out that you've never been invited on to any of these shows with all the work that you do. It's insane. So, who are you? What are you about? And tell everyone, just a little about yourself.
Name's Nick Miller. You've seen me on Twitter. I'm constantly retweeting. I've been a libertarian my whole adult life, so I'm one of the rare ones that, didn't drift over from another party. I've always voted libertarian, always supported the libertarian candidates, was swept up in the Ron Paul movement when I was young. That was my first presidential race as an adult. And been a strong supporter of liberty since then. Trying to get more active in the actual party itself. After this crazy, 18 months, figured try to see if I can, help assist the cause, whether that's promoting different podcasters or different politicians or any individuals that have good ideas, whether it's activism, journalism, however, I try to promote that. And I think it's great. There's so many great libertarian podcasts out right now. It's a great thing. A lot of people make fun of it right now because, are you a real libertarian if you don't have a podcast? So, it's a great thing. We need more of it. We need to continue to reach people at every level, on every platform, So keep doing it. Keep up the great work.
Right on, my brother. So obviously, Nick is an alcoholic based on what's going on behind him. So there's that.
I'm a collector. No.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Like, he's a collector.
No, everyone always has like cool backdrops, and I was like, well, I'll just do it in front of the bar. Like, I don't know where else to do it.
Nice. Now, one of the things is, look, one of the things that you said is that, and it is a joke for most people. Like, are you real libertarian if you don't have a podcast or whatever? Like, and it's a fun game to play with people. Like, no, you're not, whatever. But the bottom line is that, we have to get media, right? We got to get control of media. And if we can't get that, then we're never going to matter. So until we have control of media, then we're fucked from the jump. And so
for sure.
Yeah. So people make fun of the whole podcast thing, but it's actually kind of a big deal in a way.
It is. It is a great thing.
So well, I mean, fuck it. Let's ask you, what are your favorite ones out there? What are you doing? Like, what are your go-to top 5 that you always listen to?
Well, obviously the great Scott Horton. It's someone I admire very much.
Very failed, but okay.
that's my biggest thing is anti-war. And so, there's no better person leading that cause than Scott Horton. Reed Coverdell, that was the first one I kind of found on Twitter. I've had a Twitter account for a long time, but I haven't really been active on it until basically January this year. So I found Reed kind of right away, and I loved his idea of unity within the party itself, which seems kind of crazy, but it's something that needed to be done. Yeah, I enjoy yours, obviously. The Slurp gang, I've been catching up on them with Ace and his gang over there. Let's see who else. Liberty Lock Pad. Let's see. There's so many great ones right now. But
yeah, it's problematic when you like you pull that top 5. You're like, oh shit, I don't even know what to do now.
It's crazy, and there's more and more popping up every day. And one of my new favorites, Conflict of Interest with Kyle Anzalone and Will Porter from.
Oh yeah,
they're great. I've recently come across them, last month, and they just cramming through their catalog. I think everyone should be going out there. I mean, obviously, you got Scott, but definitely go over the Conflicts of Interest. They're great. Readantiwar.com. Check out their podcast. They have some great guests on there. They had Dave DeCamp and a lot of the guys from the anti-war website. So I definitely would recommend going over there.
Right. I'm gonna just apologize right now to Shane Hazel that he didn't even say your name,
sorry, Shane.
Which is really shitty because the Radical is one of my top 5 for sure. But you don't have to always be on the same scale, which is essentially like, let's talk about that. So that's one of the big things about Reed, for instance, right? Is that he started to push this unity game, and that's actually where I essentially well, that's where you followed me. Reed was my first guest that I ever had on my show. And you were one of the first follows that I got, which was, by the way, thank you for that. And you've always been like, you're always there. You're always in the background. And that's why it's like, I felt like it was, maybe important or interesting to be able to speak with you and see who is this Nick Miller? You know what I mean? Who's always in the background of this thing, because he's always the guy that's like pushing the unity argument, but he's pushing it just on Twitter, just in the background. Like he's not running his own show. He's not trying to blow up anything or anything like that. So I found that very interesting. But I found you through Reed. So shout out to Reed, obviously, because the little prick is like the biggest new thing in Liberty. But so when you how do you decide who the people are that you're going to push? Like, do you have some kind of decision mechanism that you make, or is it just like, all right, this person seems reasonable, or what? How's that work?
Yeah, I guess there is some metric to it. Like I said before, with Reed, with the unity movement and kind of being involved with that unity coalition, that's something that's long overdue, especially how fractured the party has been. He has a great idea, and I support great ideas. I mean, I think all libertarians should. I mean, but yeah, any kind of coverage, like I said, the causes that mean the most to me, the anti-war movement, definitely against the current lockdown conditions and all the government mandates. Basically, anyone that's pushing a good uh, movement or a good idea or something that that kind of encompasses the libertarian view, and something that every libertarian should agree on. Now that can be confrontational at times, but there are principles that should be uniform in the party, in my opinion. Now there's a huge spectrum of libertarianism, but there should be some foundational ones, and so I try to push the foundational ones that we can all kind of agree with, and
like
push
don't
it out
lock
to the
people
world.
in their homes.
You're right, exactly. Opposed to the tyranny of the government that we're facing right now. And it's ridiculous. Every day for a while there was like living in an Orwellian nightmare. We're starting to see some let up on the grip, but they're still discussing the COVID passports, the vaccine passports. They're still discussing some very dangerous ideas that need to be eliminated, that need to be stamped out. Some people have disagreements on how that should go about, but however way you want to oppose it, you need to oppose it, and you don't need to fight about how someone's opposing it. Really, you have to you have to keep the eye on who the real enemy is in this scenario. It's not your fellow libertarians. It's these people that are proposing these terrible ideas that will change our lives dramatically if they do come. We are already going. There's already so much that we have to try to fight back to get some of our liberty. But any of these new ideas need to be stamped out before. It's like the Patriot Act. We let that come in, and now trying to get that removed. I mean, we can't. We have to fight that battle now up front. So I think a lot of libertarians are getting behind these ideas, and our voices need to be heard on it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. One of the things that I would say is that libertarians are very bad in one regard, and I always run afoul with these situations where I say that libertarians are very free market, which is we are.
Yep.
We would like to see the free market handle the majority of our issues. The problem is that the free market, we don't have one right now. That's not a real thing, right?
No.
And so when they say, well, COVID passports are okay so long as they're free market, it's like that's not a real thing. Like,
right.
You're all making that shit up. Like, it doesn't
right.
mean anything. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah, and the waters have been muddied even further through all this. Especially even with like the PPP situation. You can make an argument that there really isn't a private company anymore. It's crazy. The merger of the corporate and state is unreal right now, and there's a giant theft going on, as more and more money is getting pushed to their cronies throughout all of this, and labeled as some type of savior, but we've all heard that argument and gone about it. It's crazy, but we have to oppose this at every way possible, every way. I mean, whether it's through your podcast, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a whatever activist, protesting, calling up your local
militia.
Yeah, your local militia, whoever, your state representatives, everybody. I mean,
it's an insane situation that we're facing right now, and I'm gonna put something on this that, like, look, I am a giant proponent of free market. The only problem is that under our current situation, what we have now, the free market is actually called the black market, and and the government will do everything in their power. As Shane Hazel, who has very rapidly become one of my very good friends, calls it the murder cult, will do everything in their power to shut that thing down, right? And so, Nick, you're a guy that you kind of seem like one of those outsiders looking in. You kind of, and this is not meant to be derogatory towards you, but you're a guy that you sit out on the outskirts and you go, yes, this one. Like, they seem to believe what I believe, and they push what I want them to push, and there's nothing wrong with that particular circumstance in how you handle your business. Don't get me wrong, but is there a reason? I don't know how to ask this question. Is it kind of like these guys put themselves out there, so let them take the hit, or is it they're well spoken and they know what they're doing, and so let them get that whatever, like, they know what they're doing, so let them go for it?
I guess that's part of it. That I guess part of why I was getting involved is, one, to see who the players were, who to back up, who to push, and then also kind of find my niche where I can enter into the liberty movement in any way possible. Whether that's, if I eventually do a podcast or if I do some type of writing. I'm more of a writer than someone that goes on a podcast.
People don't like to read.
Yeah. That's my best medium.
I'm going to throw a quick shout out. Pete Quinones, Substack, follow him. It is
for sure.
Exceptional articles. He always gives you something great to read. So do that. Anyway, sure. I apologize, sir. So carry on.
Yeah, no, that it's really more the last few months trying to figure out where I can help in the movement and seeing what role I could best fill. I think everyone should do something, and then whatever they excel at. I don't think I'd ever be a good podcaster personally, but I could excel in other areas, and I could help push people in the areas that they excel at, and try to amplify their voice as possible.
Right. Well, it seems to me like, at least from what I know of you prior to this, because, just for the audience, this is our actual first conversation we've ever actually had, other than just Twitter interactions. We've never really had any conversation prior to this. So, but you amplify, you push, like, what is it you like, what you care about, whatever. And you've done that for me, and I've always really appreciated that about you. That's a lot of the reason I wanted to talk to you and see who you are and what you're about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I appreciate all the great stuff you're doing right now, man. It's great.
Well, I'm trying, like, one of the things that I've really pushed, and I don't know where you land on this, but one of the things I've really been pushing, at least for the libertarian side of the argument, is I think homie's drinking moonshine, so enjoy that, guys. One of the things that I've always run across since 2004, when I became a libertarian, was that people ask you, well, what's your energy plan, right? And I'm like, for many years, it was like, the free market will figure it out, which they would, technically.
you know,
But the normies don't like that answer, right?
no.
And so I went, okay, well, I need to figure it out. I need to figure out what's the best way forward, right? Well, the best way forward, it was very obvious once just minimal research required, was nuclear. And so I know for a fact because you promoted the shows with Mark Schneider and stuff, and we've done the nuclear shows. I just had Kim Ruff on from the mining side of the argument, because people are like, well, what about mining? And I'm like, okay, well, let's find a mining expert and let's figure it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so now this is just solely libertarian argument, right? That I'm trying to make, is that people don't like the answer of, well, the free market will figure it out. Like, the normies need to be told what the plan is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've really focused a huge amount of my energy now on, okay, well, nuclear is the future. Let's go with that. Because first of all, not only does it solve your climate change nonsense, right? But it also solves energy. Like, it's done. It's game, set, match. We got this thing. So we can handle all of this thing in this one technology that we've had since the fucking 60s or 50s or whatever the hell it is, right? And so that's kind of how I looked at it. I would like to get your thoughts as just an outsider looking in. What are your thoughts in that regard? Like, how do you see that messaging working?
As far as getting the normies on board with nuclear, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I kind of feel like, because you're always pushing my shows with Mark and all my nuclear shows. You've always pushed those. So I assume you're on board with nuclear.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Me personally, I do believe that nuclear should be, deregulated to make it more, feasible economically. It should be pushed. It should be an option. I do, my whole career in my university background, my degrees are all in the energy industry. So I am biased towards, continuing on with oil and gas and those. And also I have part of my career in I worked as an engineer at the coal power plants at first, and went to the refineries. Now I'm in both the oil and gas industry, but also push solar options within the oil industry. But to me, in my opinion, it should never have all your eggs in one basket when it comes to the energy industry. I think you should have a big portfolio. Now, you shouldn't be picking winners and losers within that, which is what happens right now. Especially the government killing the coal industry, and the whole slew of either subsidies or taxes within the oil and gas. That's crazy. But nuclear, it has such a stigma attached to it, with its history, obviously, with Chernobyl, and that's, if you ask any normie about nuclear power, they're going to bring up Chernobyl, obviously.
Or Fukushima now.
Or Fukushima, yeah, exactly. Which, if you do your research into those, there's a lot of issues within there that that isn't nuclear based. It wasn't.
Isn't it weird though that, like, they will do that, but it's Chernobyl or Fukushima,
right?
And you're like, you realize that was like fucking 6 decades, of time that took place. Like, it's not.
Right.
That's very interesting. And I understand your bias there, because obviously you don't want to like fuck your life up or your job. Obviously, I mean, that makes sense to me. But also at the same time, you also understand that, like, look, you know. Let me ask you this, Nick. If we stopped all subsidies to all energy power, which one wins?
Oil and gas.
Really?
Well,
no subsidies. You think oil and gas win? No subsidies.
That's a good question. Yeah. If you take away the regulations as well for nuclear, or are you just talking subsidies? I mean,
yeah. If you just pull the subsidies, and that's it. No subsidies for any business. Who wins?
Yeah, like, then you'd have to go nuclear with that. I would believe. I don't know the exact facts on that, but
I just look at it that energy in and energy out, right? Mm-hmm. Is that might be the game changer for some people. Now, also coming, like, I probably should have led with this in this conversation. I'm an oil and natural gas guy too, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how I made all of my money. That's what I did. Mm-hmm. And so I'm 100% with you. I don't want to watch the industry just, dissipate. Now, I got lucky. I'm out now. You know what I mean? And I did well, but you're still in it. So obviously you need it to still make sure that you take care of your family. I get that.
Right. No, but I'm not saying that it has to be the end all be all. That's the baby. It's just more just kind of prefacing my, I do have a bias, obviously. I would definitely push nuclear for certain.
Well, yeah, I know that because you already have. You've already pushed my shows with the nuclear operator to be like, yeah, fucking nuclear is the future. You know what I mean? So let me ask you this. Nick. This is so this is one of the things that the Democrats and the Republicans, they fight about this thing, right? They argue or whatever, and they have this little fucking game that they play with each other. Is global climate change a real thing in your opinion?
Oh, that's a tough answer because I'm going to be a little kind of nuanced with it.
Good, let's do that.
My degrees are in geophysics and geology, and so as a geologist, I will say that yes, it's real in a sense that there is a climate change and then there is some warming to it. And how much it is human driven, I can't. I've never seen a good model that I've agreed with that really supports that it's not a natural cycle of things. Because if you look at it geologically, we should be experiencing some warming up. We're still coming out of technically out of an ice age, and the ocean should be rising. It should be warming up. Now, is that something that we have to worry about in our lifetimes? In my opinion, no. Because when you're talking about geologic time, you're talking thousands to millions, of years. So now I get the arguments with some people saying that, oh, well, it's that, we're seeing it at different rates, at a higher rate than we've seen in the past on recorded geologic time. And I'd argue with some of that, just because of how you interpolate that data and how you can really get a great projection off of that. So in a sense, is it happening? Yes. Will there be climate change? Yes. Will it happen in our lifetimes? No, not you at very marginal levels.
So not in our lifetimes, but like our children or our grandchildren. What are we talking about in this perception?
Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, at a, I haven't done crunched the numbers personally, but I wouldn't even worry about my great grandkids. If I had kids.
So you're talking like a century or better before we have.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
in my opinion. And now I'm not a climatologist, or I'm not
That's not a real job. That's not a real job. No, I'm not even kidding. I'm not trying to just be a dick in this. I literally looked up that nonsense term and I was like, this is not a real job. This is just a fucking weatherman that decided that he's going to be like, oh, I'm this guy. And it's like, no, you're not. You're fucking still just a weatherman. And you like eat a dick. You don't know anything about shit. So I only pay attention, in my opinion, to legit scientists, geologists. You know what I'm saying? So like, people that take core samples and they research data and they have actual information. So that's where I take my knowledge from.
Right.
And these quote unquote climatologists, that's not a real thing. That's not a real job. That's me going, oh, I'm a sexologist.
Right.
You're like, whatever, dude. That's not a real gig.
And if you look at like geologic history, the only things that really create a huge climate change in a short period of time, like say in our lifetime, say an average person lives, 60, 70, 80 years, whatever.
Yeah.
The only things that happen dramatically to affect the climate in that short of a window is you're talking about volcanoes. You're talking, something, like a massive volcano to be able to, create a kind of nuclear type winter where you're getting so much dust and debris into the atmosphere that you're creating, a climate change is instantaneous. So will the climate change? Yes. Will it happen in our lifetimes to a measurable degree that really affects your day-to-day life?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I actually thought that my last show was going to be the one, but now this guy who's an actual scientist will go, no. And that's what's going to fuck my show. So you're welcome, YouTube. Okay. Well, I have an ad to read, and then, so let's do that. And then, yeah, I'm very interested. I did not know you were a climate or a geologist or whatever. You fucking you're smart. I didn't know that. Geophysicist. Well, that makes you. That sounds that makes you sound even smarter. So
it's basically a geologist that knows more math and physics, essentially. That's how I explain it.
Well, see, what would I be contemplated as then if I know more math than most mathematicians?
You'd be just a math guy. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, that's great. I mean, I'm sure, that's one thing that definitely, needs to be pushed more is math.
One of my best friends is an actual mathematician, and he was like, yeah, you're way smarter than me when it comes to math. And I'm like, oh, well, that happens. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I'm naturally good at math, but I've met some real mathematicians in my lifetime, and they're a different level. Their minds work different. So
well, your mind works different than I actually thought it was going to work, and I didn't actually know that much about you. So I appreciate being able to meet you now and talk to you and figure out who you are. But we are going to read this ad right quick. So we're going to go through that process, and then we're going to also run another ad that's, just to But what is that noise? What are you doing?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you have some weird like little I'm gonna wash the dishes robot?
I don't know. I have my pods on, so I don't know if there's anything going on outside.
Alright. We're gonna read the ad now because I don't know what's happening. I feel bad for the people. Here we go. NC Farms and Ranch. 1931, NC was bought during the Great Depression. 4 generations later, they have a new ranch boss in training named Letty, who has an excellent podcast as well called The Letty Show. Letty's Little Slice of Heaven grows mostly wheat, corn, and alfalfa. And I also just educated Letty on how to make that wheat more productive. So you're all welcome for that. They also raise Hereford Mamas that are routinely crossed with red or black Angus, aka the Cadillac Estate. Letty did what most children of ranchers do, took off after high school. But after health complications with her father, she returned to take on the family farm. Her family saw through the first Great Depression. They were there for your great-grandparents, and with your support, she'll be there for yours during the next one, which, by the way, that shit's coming. So y'all better be like 100% prepared for that. Again, that's mcranch.com, mcranch.com. Check them out, guys. Like, for sure. She's got great material, like exceptional beef. You guys want to check that out. You can get flour, you can get all kinds of shit. So check out that website. It's gonna do well for you. So, all right, we are back, Nick. Anyway, so yeah, we were talking global warming. Oh shit, fuck. I forgot the other ad. Well, let's go for a minute and then we'll run the other thing. So you're saying no, like it's not anything that. So when Greta Thunberg says, you know, and this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, when she went to the UN, right, and she gave her little speech because the fucking retarded Swedish girl is the one that's supposed to run global policy. And she went, well, we don't have till 2030 or 2040. We need to stop all fossil fuel production tomorrow. And I was like, why do you want to kill 3 billion people? Because that's what happens. Am I wrong in this?
No, not at all. That would be. I couldn't even imagine what would happen if you stop burning fossil fuels overnight. You'd be taking us back hundreds of years.
Of millions of people die, right?
Oh yeah,
Easily.
I mean, whether it's just basic food transport, whether it's keeping people warm, keeping people cool. I mean, you name it. Anything you basically need to live off of is supported by fossil fuels.
Yeah.
You know, even if you take nuclear and make that more predominant in the global energy, I mean, you're still going to have to produce fossil fuels to some extent. You know.
Well, yeah, because our bulldozers, our backhoes, our loaders, they don't run on nuclear. They run on oil. They run on gas or diesel or whatever.
Yeah, and then on all the hydrocarbons, you know, you're gonna still use plastics. I mean, yeah, you can replace plastics to some extent, but there's some things you can't.
You can replace a lot of plastic with hemp.
You can, yes, and I definitely agree with that. You know, but
that also requires. Billions and billions and probably hundreds of billions of dollars in changing in manufacturing to get to that protocol. So it's not like it's fucking overnight. So when I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter where they're like, "Wow, we'll just change it to him," and I'm like, well, "That's not how it works, guys." Like,
right.
Like all these facilities are designed for what they're designed for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. Could you well, you know what? Let's run this other ad and then we will come back. The ad, I think, is only like 20 seconds. So apologies for that. We're going to be about a minute, if you know, and y'all just going to have to deal with it. But when we come back, Nick is going to explain to us why it's not feasible. Well, maybe he won't. I don't know. Maybe he'll explain why it is feasible to switch from oil to hemp, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not know that Nick knows what Nick knows. So he's obviously a very smart guy who's got apparently a bunch of degrees. So that'll be cool. Nick, we will be right back, my brother. Well, if I can fucking figure out how to do this. Took a little too long there. My bad.
It's all good.
I also have to shout out StreamYard. StreamYard powers this entire situation. They do a great job, and they are exceptional at making sure that you do not lose internet access when you are streaming. So, if you're trying to run a show or whatever, if Nick decides that he wants a podcast, then StreamYard's the way to go. So you guys check them out. It's actually pretty cheap. It doesn't even cost that much money. You can even test it out for free. So you guys check that out. StreamYard.com for sure. And then last and not least, oh shit. We'll get to that towards the end. Anyway, Nick, so you were saying that you had 1 degree, right, in geology, but
geophysics.
Yeah, okay, you were talking like you had multiple degrees. So what's where you coming from, bro? What do you got going on?
So to be clear, my degree is in geophysics, and then I have minors in geology and math. But my BS is in geophysics.
Oh, okay. So that actually that's very interesting to me because you know me for sure that and you've pushed this a lot. I'm big in nuclear. So you're geological. You know what I'm talking about. Uranium, explain it to us. Because you're probably the one guy, like honestly, that can actually explain it to us.
I wouldn't be the best at explaining uranium. I mean, basically, it's a radioactive element that.
Well, we all know that.
So I guess, how would you like me to explain it?
Okay, well, let's put it this way. So uranium is just an element, right? It's a fucking something that's in the dirt, right? So we separate that thing and we turn it into something that we need it to be. So in that regard, one, I suppose, is it dangerous just on its own?
It depends. Yeah, if you handle it over time, I mean, yeah, it can be dangerous. It's not really. I can't really go too much into depth on it. It's not really my field to really go in more into.
You're a geologist. It's a rock.
Sure. I mean, it is. I don't know how you want me to explain it, really.
Okay, let me try to clarify the questioning here. So anything involved in geology, right? It's essentially from a base product, whether it's a rock or dirt or whatever. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so uranium ore is essentially the same thing. It's either a rock or it's dirt or whatever. It's just a base element that you can pick up and you can hold that thing.
Correct. Yeah.
If you were in a position that you're walking out in the, say, southeastern desert of Utah, and you pick up dirt, what are the odds that you're holding uranium?
Pretty high, actually. I mean, to some extent, there's going to be some trace elements, depending on different areas. And uranium ore shouldn't be. Again, I don't want to speak too far out of my lane, but you shouldn't have too much issues handling the ore, the in its in situ. Right. Now, if you extract that, then you can have some issues after that. But if you're actually mining it and you come across it, or you just happen to come across a rock that has uranium in it. But yeah, I mean, there's trace elements of almost. I mean, you could. I mean, it depends on basically mineable versus, trace elements is a very big difference. Like you can pick up a rock and you might get a very small trace element of, gold even, but if it's not affordable to mine it, the same thing with uranium. You can find trace elements. Different.
Basically, Nick just a super nerd and he doesn't want to put you in danger, so that's cool. So let me ask you this. So you have a degree in, what was it?
Geophysics.
Geophysics. Okay, and then, but you had said earlier that one of your degrees. What else are we talking about here?
No, that's my only degree. I misspoke. My only degree is in geophysics. I have minors in geology and math.
Oh, I got you. Okay, what is geophysics circumference? Like, where does that lead? Well, actually, let's do this. What do you do for a living?
Well, now I am help run multiple small companies. I left the refinery business a couple years ago now, and kind of helping run the family businesses.
Okay.
And we're in multiple fields. They're kind of, two are based in the construction field and one's in oil and gas. And so that's I help run those.
That's why you're all like, oh, not nuclear, because gotcha. Okay. Cool.
No, I'm not nuclear. I for sure. I mean, if we could
well,
do it.
No, I've seen you like push nuclear, at least as far as I go. When I'm talking to Mark and shit, you're pushing it out there on Twitter. Like, yeah, this is a thing. Like, we need to pay attention to that. So I appreciate that about you. I also understand that you have a family business you got to protect. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. This is going to be maybe an odd question. Maybe you can answer, maybe you can't. As someone that understands geology, understands you probably the whatever, I don't even know what to call it anymore. Climate change, global warming. I don't know what to call it at this point, because they fucking keep changing the game on me. So let me ask you this. Is there a way, and if there is a way, how do we shift our behavior in such a manner that actually assists in either lowering our carbon footprint or do we even need to? I don't know. Like, so what are your thoughts on that?
I believe we do need to, in my opinion, because pollution is a real thing, and that does cause health issues, and environmental issues for sure. But as far as, changing the climate in our lifetimes, that's where I disagree with. Now, yes, do we 100%, in my opinion, need to reduce our carbon footprint? We 100% need to invest in renewables, especially nuclear. I mean, if you're talking renewable energy, you have to be at the forefront with nuclear. There are several different reasons to push renewable energy. And to me, again, to go back to what I've said before, I think the best portfolio for energy is a diverse one. You can't, in my opinion, you can't have all your eggs in one basket. You can't. Mm-hmm. Now you could have larger percentages for sure. Ones that are more efficient, the ones that especially area specific too, that comes into different play. Like if you're in a coal area, it's very efficient to have coal power. Now you do need to. I do recommend doing scrubbers and carbon collection and things like those on those. But yeah, I do think that they should be pushed. I don't think the government should be picking winners and losers. I think that the market should kind of dictate how the portfolio does get framed, and what percentages are, and what you'll see, in my opinion, if you did do that, you would see different areas, have one or the other or a combination, across the globe, and as a whole, then that kind of diversifies your whole portfolio. So you shouldn't, when there's wind, and it makes sense to have, wind turbines, and you need to have wind, and in those high areas, if you're in a coal area, if you're near oil and gas areas, especially. I mean, now, obviously it's one of the better things about that is it can be transported. That's one reason we rely on oil and gas so heavily in the past 100 years. It's storable and transportable, but nuclear can be used pretty much anywhere, and that's one thing that makes it another reason that should be pushed. Now, how you get past this stigma, I don't know, because then you start getting in to get, because you have to speak to the average person on that issue, and to kind of make it simplified to them.
Well, yeah, let's focus right in on that, because you're a guy that understands energy in general, right? You understand this thing, and it doesn't matter how that energy comes to fruition. You understand what is happening and how we get there, and the effects that take place on environment and or safety or whatever. So you understand these things. So if you're the guy that tells people whatever the energy source is, but we'll go with nuclear in this regard, but any energy source, I assume, also has kind of mostly the same elements. You explain to people how nuclear energy is safe. Is that something that you're able to explain to people, that like they're not going to get fucking burned alive by some weird nuclear gas?
At my level of the understanding, could I talk to the normie about it?
This random Facebook user.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely tell them to recommend the resource to go check out your other podcast. Myself personally, that one, I'll state my opinion on it. It can be safe, especially, with the advances in the science, and is it thorium? That it's the what the new safer aspect of it.
It's not actually safer. It's just something they've already known for, like, since they built the damn bombs back in the day. It's just something they can. It's a fuel mixture now. Well, I mean, that's based on what I know now. Like, I have a guest coming on that's supposedly going to explain to me why thorium's better. So we'll go from there. But for now, what I know about it is it's just something that just makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about it. I couldn't speak as an expert by any means on it, but from what the little bit I do understand about it, it does make it safer. It seems like it helps solve the issue of the waste and some of the potential instability that can happen. But yeah, to not know more about the process, I couldn't really elaborate more on it, to be honest.
Fair enough. All right, cool. Well, let's do a couple other questions that are not in anywhere to this argument. So you, I mean, like, I don't know that I've seen anyone be as pushing of the libertarian argument on Twitter as you. Like, honestly, I don't know of anyone that's like, you're always like right there, like yeah, like if it's a good message, you're pushing it. And so I guess I want to know, like, what brought you, man? What changed? What, maybe you always were, but what pushed you into that libertarian mindset, and it just set you on this path that you're on now?
Well, do you kind of want my background of how I became into the libertarian, or just more?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, your background, whatever you want to tell us, it's fine.
Well, let's see. It kind of happened organically. I couldn't really say there's the okay, well, I heard so and so speak, or I read this, and I wasn't an individual moment that really happened for me. It was one, in growing up, I had a great interest in history, and literature, and so studying history, and mainly it kind of focuses on a lot on war, and so and then also during my childhood, essentially, I was in middle school during 9/11. I was in 7th grade, so that had a dramatic effect on me.
You're young.
Yeah, so so that had a huge effect on me. Had a lot of friends and family that served, and hearing their stories about what's really going on over there, and then also I have some family that are they were pretty high up in the government as civilians, not they worked for the military, but they were not in the military, but they yeah. So one was like a chief of staff of NATO, and
my audience completely understand that.
Yeah, and she did nuclear arms inspections and different things, and then one was in chemical weapons decommissioning, and then one was was actually head of arms distribution during the first Iraq War, the Gulf War. And so hearing those stories, reading history, and then also a lot of literature, luckily it was required reading, but there was 1984, and Ayn Rand, the Fountainhead, not Atlas Shrugged, Catch-22, the Animal Farm, a lot of that literature, especially at that time in my point in my life, I think had a great profound effect on me, especially kind of having my eyes opened up to the real horror of war, not firsthand, but secondhand and thirdhand.
Right.
But it had a great, profound effect on me. And then I remember it was my senior year in high school. It was the first time I ever took one of those political tests. Like, everyone's always posting theirs on Twitter, and so we took.
Well,
the
they
test.
do now. They didn't do it when I was in high school.
Right,
there was no internet.
There wasn't. There, I had MySpace, and it was the beginning of Facebook when I was.
I did have a MySpace. You're right. Okay,
Yeah,
I did have internet my senior year of high school.
Yeah, I got my first Facebook. I think it was my senior year in high school. The first time I got on.
Yeah, Facebook. That was way after me, bro. I was probably already. I may have already been out of the military at that point.
Yeah, so it was. It was my senior year. We took the test, and that was the first time I actually really, got a word, the libertarian. So like you took it, and then she had the grid set up on the whiteboard, and you went up there and you marked it, and then she's like, everyone did it, and then I was like the only libertarian. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to keep it."
The only one?
I was the only one, and so what that made me do was like, okay, well, let me go kind of look into what that really means. To me, that was just a word at the time, and that's how I found Ron Paul, and kind of didn't do a super deep dive.
So you basically you were the guy that was like just naturally came. Like you like no one, nothing you heard, nothing you did, nothing you saw brought you there. You just said, "Oh, I'm going to check these boxes of what it is I believe and what I think," and then you got told, "Well, okay, this is who you are." So then you found the Libertarian Party after the fact. You found out you were a libertarian.
Yeah.
Dude, like that's insane. Yeah, good for you. And I am going to make this your worst day in the whole history of ever, because I found a legit libertarian that no one brought him. He brought himself. You're welcome. I'm going to blow your shit up. It's going to suck for you.
Yeah. No, it was, like I said, it was pretty organic. I didn't have, anything in it, but that gave me the word libertarian. So that let me research it, kind of do some digging. I didn't get big into theory at the time, reading theory. I was, like I said, more history, and literature, and then finding Ron Paul, and then just timing of it all. That's, I graduated in 2007 from high school, and then in the Ron Paul, the first one in 2008, and so.
Oh Jesus! You graduated in 2007. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool to be a part of. I wasn't really a part of it. I mean, I kind of externally a part of it and supporting and talking to my friends about them, and telling them about the Federal Reserve and whatever. Yeah. But that's how it, supported Ron Paul in 2008 and 2012. I voted for Gary Johnson in 2016. Even I wasn't crazy about him personally. Yeah, but I definitely wasn't voting for Hillary or Trump. But
weird.
Yeah, and then I voted for Joe in the last election. So I've always pushed libertarian when I can. There's not always that option, unfortunately, on the ballot, but that's something I think that is changing in this last election cycle. I did see a lot of libertarians on the ballot locally and state, and then obviously for the presidential race, so that was good. And I'm not completely, like, I'm just going to vote for the Libertarian Party. There are great, people. Ron Paul ran on the Republican ticket, and there are some libertarians, within, the Republican Party. Libertarian is light, I like Massey.
I'm going to do everything in my fucking power to get Thomas Massey to become the governor of Kentucky.
I love that guy. That guy is
and he's
awesome.
got it in, and the only way that works is if he runs as a Republican. I know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not stupid or high. Like, he's got to run as a Republican, but he needs to be the governor of Kentucky.
No, I think it would be perfect for him, honestly. And I'm a huge fan of Massey. I like Amish. There's multiple others, but yeah, and it's going to be interesting for the next run. And to me, as a libertarian, especially that pushes the party, I think there's such a struggle for what we really should aim for, and
what do you think we should aim for, Nick? What is the game? What is it that we should? Your opinion, because you're a guy that like, one of the things I've noticed on social media is that you will push for things that I'm not a fan of, but then you will push for things I'm obviously a fan of because I say them and or tweet them. Where do we go from here? Like, where is it that Nick sees us going, and how do we get there in a way that brings more freedom to more people?
Well, I think right now there are the competing ideas of whether it's a message or big tent, and I think you can kind of accomplish both at the same time if if it's possible. I think right now you've never had more people want to either give a big FU to the government or are so fed up with the overreaching that this is kind of a harvest time for us as libertarians, that you could create a big tent. You would have to line it up with good messaging. To me, in my opinion, the Libertarian Party is all about messaging on a political level. To me, that's what, in my opinion, it exists for, is for to be on the fringe and to push ideas or policies that no one else is, and to try to put a voice to these issues that the duopoly completely ignores. And you need that messaging, and you can pare it down to in the wars, in the drug war. Those are the two biggest. At least some type of that will help a lot on the border crisis, in my opinion. If you are going to eliminate the drug war and also the wars to help stop destabilizing these other countries.
Yes. And I guess that will lead us into our final piece of this conversation. And you walked us right into it. There is a humanitarian fucking disaster on the southern border. This is not open for debate. I don't care what other people are like. Whoa, no. This is a humanitarian fucking disaster. This is 100%. That's factual. It's not open for debate. That's what's happening. I'm sure you have some thoughts on that, and we are going to get to your thoughts in just a moment. But I am going to do something that upsets some libertarians. Donald Trump's particular way of dealing with that was better than what we have now. He made it more than clear to these people, don't come here, you're not going to get let in, so don't come. And they did not come here. Now, I'm not saying that they should be here or not be here or whatever, come here. That's not my intent, right?
Mm.
But he made it clear that if they did, it was going to not end the way they wanted it to end. Biden kind of fucked that game up, and he's like, yeah, no, definitely come. It's all good. And now these people are fucking stuck in cages. So I would like to get your thoughts on that, Nick. What? I mean, there's really only way. Fuck it. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, like 100% agree with your take that it isn't a debate, that it is a humanitarian crisis at the border.
No, it's not a debate.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I said. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I do understand where you're coming from about as far as making it clear that, hey, this is closed. As long whatever. I guess that's a strategy. To me, I would like to see, a lot of the red tape and everything help get people to be able to immigrate easier. Mm-hmm. That would be more my preference, obviously.
Sure.
Whether now that I'd be, okay. It's such a complicated issue. Like, the libertarian stance, in my opinion, you either privatize the border or, but obviously you can do that overnight here. And to me, I would try to help eliminate the red tape and expedite, the process and not make it have such an expensive and timely thing to do. But as far as like the immediate crisis, I haven't really given that one a whole lot of thought of what exactly I would do. I think the humanitarian in me is I'd have to try to do. I don't know. That's tough. I'd have to, in my opinion, have to try to figure out some type of sanctuary type situation or some type of way to facilitate the crisis. Whether that's help getting them back to a different area or help do like some type of work fair program type thing or something other than just putting them in a cage and saying, wait here an indeterminate amount of time.
Right. That's just a nightmare of a situation that you don't even know what you're going to be dealing with in that moment. And, it is also, it's also useful to understand that the majority of these people, now, I'm not one of these numbnuts that's going to say, oh, no, they're all just like trying to get a better life. No, there are criminals. Don't get me wrong. There are bad people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the majority. The majority are absolutely just regular people that are just looking for some kind of an opportunity or whatever.
Right. And I completely agree with that. I've grown up in Texas and have lived in Texas majority of my life. The overwhelming majority want to come here to work, to find, a life, and to support their families, and to give their children a better life than what we do. And they're traditionally hardworking people that, very family oriented. Are there circumstances where that's not the case? Yeah, 100%. But I can't remember what the metric. Someone was discussing this the other day about it's a high percentage of second generation immigrants or business owners, and then or high up in a business. They're very successful essentially when they do come here.
And, oh yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, and it's 71% of illegals will be highly effective if you leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And they will lead to 30% of CEOs that will be highly effective. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. Obviously, that's just with my eyeballs and life experiences, and seeing a lot of immigrants in Texas and
leave him alone, NSA. He's not illegal.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, in a perfect world without all the red tape, me personally, I would have open borders, but that's not something that can be done overnight.
Well, open borders don't work when you're the only nation that has them.
Yeah. No, I could agree with that to an extent. Yeah.
I like the argument from libertarians that free people have freedom to move around. I get that. I understand the argument, and I like the argument. The problem is that not every nation has that, and there are bad people that will do bad things. So
right. No, I 100% agree with that. That's why I say that's something you can be done overnight. I mean, if you look at our foreign policy, over the last however many years, we've created a lot of enemies that that
for sure
would take advantage of that situation. So that's why I would focus on ending the wars and the drug wars first.
Yeah, for sure.
All of that.
Totally understand that, buddy. 100%. I 100% get that. And we are going to wrap at this point. Nick, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on. What do you got going on? Tell people where to find you. Whatever you got going on. You got a grift going? Get it.
Yeah, no grift. You have the Twitter handle on there. It's Jose Degier. It's French. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't even speak French. I don't even remember why I decided to choose it. It basically means the bird of war in French, because it's referring to Twitter. And then obviously I play on my anti-war stance. Yeah, I don't have anything other than that. I would definitely, tell everyone to watch your show and share it.
Well, that's not what you're supposed to be doing here, but
yeah,
all right, I appreciate that.
I don't have anything to push.
Nick is probably the biggest pusher of all of liberty. So you guys should absolutely follow him because he deserves it. He is constantly out there pushing liberty, pushing it for everyone. It doesn't matter if it's me. It doesn't matter if it's Reed. It doesn't matter if it's David Fite, Shane Hazel, even Archie Flower. I saw him retweet him one time. So y'all, just follow Nick. Nick is a great guy. You guys should follow him. He's he's exceptional. And I'm still baffled by the fact that this is his first show. It won't be his last, though. He will be back. So
I don't know.
if you all have questions,
it's pretty brutal.
No. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have a choice in this. He will be back. So if y'all have questions, send them to me, and I'll ask Nick, and we'll put him on the spot. So peace, homies.